All right, let's jump into another deep dive. Today we're going behind the scenes of, well, Mr. Beast. Huge on YouTube.
Yeah, Mr. Beast, the king of crazy stunts and massive giveaways.
Exactly, but we're focusing on the people behind the spectacle, the crew. Specifically, we're going to look at 9 people who've moved on from the Mr. Beast team.
The why they left and what they're doing now. It's like a peek behind the curtain of this whole content creation empire.
And it can get pretty surprising what we found. So for sources, we've got, well, a whole bunch. Interviews, social media posts, even news articles, and some of Mr. Beast's own videos. A real mixed bag.
It's like piecing together a puzzle, to get the full picture.
Right. Okay, so first up is this guy, Matt Turner. He was an editor for MrBeast, started back in 2018, and at first, man, he was so stoked about the job.
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't be? Editing those epic videos, it must have seemed like a dream gig.
Total dream gig. But it didn't last. Just 5 months later, Matt's out. And he even made a video explaining why.
But here's the thing. At the time, he was all positive, praising the experience. Then, like a year later, he tweets out that working with Mr. Beast was mentally exhausting.
Whoa, that's a big shift, right? I mean, from super excited to totally burnt out.
It makes you wonder what goes on behind the scenes. Maybe the pressure is just insane,
Right. Mr. Beast's operation is huge. They're always pushing to be bigger, better. It's going to be intense.
Yeah, and it's not just for fun, right? It's their job, their livelihood. The stakes are high.
Super high. Okay, so we've got burnout, but then there's also, well, drama, like with Flydose YT back in 2018.
Oh, yeah, Flydose YT. He actually accused Mr. Beast of faking content. Even said Mr. Beast wasn't in some of his own videos.
Whoa. And what did Mr. Beast say?
He completely denied it.
Yeah.
Said Fly was taking things out of context, twisting the narrative. But the interesting thing is, both sides probably believe they were right.
So 2 different perspectives on the same situation.
Totally. And it kind of shows how different things can look when you're in that fast-paced, competitive YouTube world.
You're in the thick of it, it's got to get, well, subjective.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When everyone's striving to be the best, there are bound to be clashes. It's like any high-pressure job.
Right, right. Okay, so we've got burnout, we've got accusations, but not every departure is like that.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Take Jake the Viking. He was a fan favorite, right? Loved for those crazy physical challenges he'd do.
Totally. But he actually left in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And it was totally amicable, no drama. He just decided to move on when the channel's content started shifting away from the stuff he was good at.
Okay, that makes sense. Creators got to stay relevant, Can't just do the same thing forever.
Right. It's like natural evolution.
But it does make you wonder how they decide when to change, how they handle the impact on the team.
Totally. It's a tricky balance.
Okay, speaking of evolving, there's Ty. Now, his story is wild. He got recruited from one of those classic Mr. Beast challenges, the one where you got to sit in a giant bowl of cereal.
Did you have 10 grand?
Eh.
And Ty, he just nailed it. Became a total fan favorite.
He did. And here's the thing. He wasn't officially part of the team, but there are rumors he's still involved behind the scenes.
The Mr. Beast world is full of surprises, that's for sure. You never know who's going to pop up next.
Exactly. It's part of the fun, I guess. Keeps you on your toes.
Totally. All right, so far we've talked about the more visible members, right? But there are tons of people working behind the scenes, too.
The unsung heroes.
Yeah, like Tyler Conlon, one of the earliest members of the Mr. Beast team.
Really?
Yeah, he faded from the screen eventually, but it seems like he's still a key part of the operation behind the scenes.
Shows you don't have to be in the spotlight to have a huge impact.
For sure. And sometimes those roles behind the scenes, they can change, too. Like with Garrett. He was in a bunch of videos at first, then moved to Mr. Beast's brother's channel, Mr. Bro.
Oh, okay.
And then he ended up focusing on his studies. So it seems like Mr. Beast's team is a place where people can, explore, figure out where they fit best.
Even if it means moving beyond the main channel.
Exactly. It's like a launch pad almost.
That's cool. Okay, and sometimes that launch pad leads people, well, out the door, but in a good way. Like Jake Weddle.
Oh, yeah, Jake.
He left to focus on his stand-up comedy career. But he still pops up in Mr. Beast videos from time to time.
Yeah, he does. Which shows there's no bad blood, Just mutual respect.
So it's not always cutthroat competition like people think. Sometimes it's more like, I don't know, a family.
A weird, dysfunctional YouTube family.
Yeah. Okay, but not every departure is so smooth.
That's true.
We got to talk about Sneeko and Marcus Pearson. Things get, well, a little messy there.
A little messy is an understatement.
Okay, so Sneeko. He worked with Mr. Beast briefly back in 2018, then bam, it's over. He said it was because of ego clashes.
Yeah, big personalities, big visions.
But he still had respect for Mr. Beast, which is interesting.
Shows it doesn't always have to be a nasty breakup, even if there are creative differences.
Right. And then there's Marcus Pearson, maybe the most controversial departure.
Definitely a head scratcher.
He was super popular with fans, and then suddenly, poof, he's gone. And he made some really confusing statements about it all.
Yeah, there are all sorts of rumors. Behavioral issues, pandemic layoffs.
Yeah.
Who knows? To this day, nobody's sure why he left.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces. It really adds to the whole Mr. Beast mystery.
Totally. And it reminds us that what we see online,
Mm-hmm.
well, it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Right. There's so much happening behind the scenes that we might never know.
Exactly. And that's what makes these deep dives so fascinating. We get to peel back those layers,
Yeah.
trying to understand what it's really like to be part of this world.
Okay, so in this first part of our deep dive, we've seen it all. Burnout, amicable departures, and those mysterious exits.
And as we continue, you'll see how these individual stories start to paint a bigger picture, a bigger understanding of this whole Mr. Beast phenomenon.
It's like we've got backstage passes. I can't wait to see what's next.
All right, welcome back. So we're continuing this deep dive into those departures from the Mr. Beast crew. And, as we go through these stories, some patterns really jump out.
Patterns. I love a good pattern. What kind of patterns are we talking about here?
Well, one of the biggest is burnout, especially among the folks working behind the scenes, the editors, the producers,
Yeah.
like Matt Turner. His experience, even though he was so hyped at first, it kind of shows how heavy the workload can be and the pressure to, constantly create top-notch content.
Right. Like, is that pace even sustainable? Can anyone keep up with Mr. Beast's crazy output without hitting a wall eventually?
That's a big question, right? And remember Jay the Viking, even though he was all about those physical challenges, even he reached a point where, well, the content just wasn't his thing anymore.
Oh, right. I mean, Mr. Beast's channel is always changing, experimenting with new formats. How do creators keep up with that? Stay relevant without losing their brand? What's the secret?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's no easy answer. Some people, like Jake, they realize the new direction isn't for them and move on.
Right, amicably.
Exactly. But then how does Mr. Beast, how does he decide which way to go? How do they figure out those changes?
It's got to be a mix of, I don't know, data, intuition,
Right.
understanding what the audience wants.
Totally. And sometimes it's just about taking risks, trying something totally unexpected, like with Ty, joining the crew from a cereal challenge. It's like the Mr. Beast world, it's unpredictable.
Totally unpredictable, and it makes it fun, right? You never know what's going to happen next. Who's going to win a challenge and end up on the team?
Exactly. It's like Willy Wonka meets YouTube. Okay, but let's not forget the people behind the scenes, right?
Oh, yeah, those unsung heroes.
Yeah.
The ones making it all happen.
Yeah, like Tyler Conlon. He might not be in the spotlight anymore, but he seems super important to the whole operation.
It's true. You don't have to be front and center to make a big impact. Sometimes those behind-the-scenes roles are, well, crucial.
Totally crucial. And those roles, they can evolve too. Think about Garrett. He started in videos, then moved over to Mr. Beast's brother's channel, Mr. Bro,
Ah, yeah.
and then eventually focused on his studies. So it's like the Mr. Beast network, it gives people a chance to, I don't know, try different things, figure out what they're into.
And sometimes that means moving on, even beyond the Mr. Beast brand.
Exactly. It's like fostering growth,
That's cool.
Uh,
Okay, but we also have to talk about those departures that are, well, a little more complicated, a little more mysterious.
yeah.
Sneeko and Marcus Pearson.
Right. Those are tough ones to figure out.
Yeah, they left a lot of unanswered questions. Okay, so Sneeko, his time with Mr. Beast was short. He blamed it on, like, personality clashes, big egos, you know how it is.
Yeah. I mean, when you've got a bunch of creative people, strong personalities, it's bound to happen sometimes.
Right. And then Marcus Pearson, that was a whole other level of controversy.
Yeah, lots of rumors, conflicting statements. We still don't really know why he left.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces. And it makes you realize what we see online, it's just a tiny part of the story.
A carefully constructed little piece of the story.
Yeah, there's a whole lot going on behind the scenes, and we'll probably never know the full truth.
Exactly. It's part of the allure, I guess.
It is. It makes you want to dig deeper.
Totally. It's like we get to explore the human side of this whole content creation machine.
Yeah.
The good, the bad, the drama.
Yeah, all of it. Okay, so wrapping up this part 2, we've seen burnout, we've seen amicable departures, and then those exits shrouded in mystery.
And it all starts to paint a bigger picture.
Yeah.
of what it's like to be part of this Mr. Beast world and really the whole content creation landscape.
Like a backstage pass to the whole show. I'm ready for more. All right, so we've looked at the individual stories, right? We've seen the burnout, the goodbyes, the whole mystery thing. What does it all add up to? What's the big takeaway here?
Well, the Mr. Beast team, it's like a mini version of the whole content creation world. Looking at them, we get these insights into what it's like for creators out there, the challenges, the opportunities, the whole thing.
Okay, I'm following. Connect the dots for me. What are those big insights?
So think about how fast Mr. Beast's operation is, how massive it is. They're always pushing the limits, new ideas all the time, trying to top themselves with each video. It shows you how intense this whole content creation thing has become.
Right, right. Like always on, always got to be bigger and better.
Exactly. And Matt Turner's experience, remember, burning out, even though he was loving it at first, it kind of suggests that this pace, it might not be something everyone can handle long term.
Yeah, I get that. There's got to be a point where the pressure to, make stuff all the time, it just outweighs the fun of it.
Right. And this isn't a hobby for these guys. It's their job, their income, their whole brand. A lot depends on those viral hits.
Which makes you appreciate all the people working behind the scenes, right?
Oh, totally. The editors, the producers, all those folks, they're grinding to make it happen.
Big time. Okay, so we've got the pressure to create, but then we also saw how MrBeast's content changing, it led to some natural changes in the team, like Jake the Viking leaving, totally cool about it, just because the channel's focus was different.
Yeah, Jake's a great example of that. It shows you that creators have to, well, they have to evolve, just like any other business.
Right, but that can't be easy, right? Staying true to who you are while keeping things new and exciting for the viewers.
It's a tough balance, for sure. And sometimes it means people got to move on, like Jake, find their own path.
Like a band, changing their sound. Some fans love it, some hate it, and sometimes band members go solo. It happens.
Totally. It's all part of how things work. But then, of course, you got those exits that are, well, a little more tricky. Sneeko, Marcus Pearson.
Yeah, those were some head scratchers. Sneeko, he said it was ego clashes, right?
Big personalities, big visions. It happens.
But it still makes you think about how creators work together, right? Especially when everyone's got their own ideas.
Yeah, it's got to be a challenge to, keep everyone on the same page.
And then Marcus Pearson, man, that was a whole other level of, well, weirdness.
We still don't really know why he left. It's like we only got a tiny glimpse of what went down.
Right, like we're peeking through a crack in the door trying to figure out this whole big story.
Exactly. And that's kind of the magic of these deep dives, right? We get to explore the human side of all this, the wins, the struggles, the drama.
It's been quite a ride. It's clear that the content creation world, it's a wild place.
It really is. As we wrap up, I think the big takeaway is, well, it's full of amazing opportunities, but it also comes with crazy pressure and some really unique challenges.
Not all sunshine and rainbows, huh?
Not always, no. But for those who can handle it all, stay true to themselves, adapt to how things change constantly, the rewards can be huge.
Well, that's our deep dive for today. We've covered it all. Burnout, changing content, what it's like to be famous online, the whole shebang.
And one last thought before we go.
Yeah.
With all this turnover on the MrBeast team, all these departures, can this way of creating, so fast-paced, so high pressure, can it really work for everyone in the long run? And if not, what needs to change?
Great question. Something to think about. Thanks for listening, everyone, and keep exploring. We'll catch you next time.